Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today is time for another Monday reads where I'm talking about what I read last week and did I meet my goals and all of that. And also I'm talking about my plans for the next week. So last week I set myself the goal to read 1,578 pages, which with an average of 225 pages per day. And in total, I ended up reading 1,478 pages with an average of 211 pages per day. So I was a little short of my own goals. However, it looks good in my eyes with the numbers, but two of the things that I read were not originally on this one, and it was the mangas that I wanted to read. So yeah. Anyway, let's get over the books that I did finish and my thoughts about them, and then I'm gonna get into my plans for next week. The first thing that I finished last week was Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is a contemporary book that follows, it's like a family drama, if you will. It's a young adult contemporary as well, and it follows basically 3 different kids who are all adopted, and they find out that they are all they all 3 have the same biological mom, and in that way they are related, and it just so happens that they actually live in the same area. But also it sort of talks about being an adoptive child and how they are faring in their families who have also their own biological child as well, and that whole talk. And I thought that it was written really well. I thought it was a really interesting story, and I definitely enjoyed my time reading it, so I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. The next thing that I also read was Far From the Tree by Meg Howrey. This book was a science fiction book, sort of more of a quieter science fiction book. It basically follows, they are working towards sending people to Mars, and so this group of people are hoping they will be the ones to be selected, but they have gone to a training camp thing together in order to find out how they would work together in a space camp thing, I guess. So that is basically what they're doing. I was hoping I would really enjoy this one, but I ended up being a little bit bored with it, so it didn't really deliver what I wanted to. I guess, I don't know if it was the audio that was at fault here or if it was the writing in general that I wasn't really into, but I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. The next thing that I also finished was Fullmetal Alchemist volume 9. Volume 9. And this one is obviously the sequel. Fullmetal Alchemist follows these 2 brothers who are orphans. They're trying to resurrect their mother with alchemy powers, but you're not allowed to do that. So that ended up going terribly wrong. And so it ended up with one of them losing his arm and his leg, and the other one lost his entire body and is sort of captured in this suit of armor. And the other one has a middle arm and a middle leg. And that's basically why they're called the Fullmetal Alchemists. But they're part of this group of alchemists who are working for the government in order to solve these different mystery crimes things, and yeah, they're the youngest of their kind. But this is much more than that. It's basically more about the friendships that they create, the people that they trust, and they form friendships over the books, and that is basically what you're discovering now. And then they're trying to find the Philosopher's Stones. That's an overarching plot of this, to see if they can resurrect their mother that way. And in this one, there was definitely some questions about whether this was a good idea for them, because some things happened. And I really enjoy this one. I think it's the most... I'm having so much fun every time I read them. They're funny. They're also have some emotional moments that really gets to me. But I think that the relationship between Edward and Elle is just really amazing to follow, and the friendship that they have with their closest group of friends. And yeah, just really very much enjoying this, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next thing that I finished was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the classic fantasy of all fantasies. This was one of my main focuses this week. I really wanted to read this, and I'm so happy that I did. And this was everything that I wanted it to be, and I definitely understand why this is so many people's favorite book of all time, because this had so many great elements to it. It's just the moment you start reading this, you're completely sucked into the story. You get a sense of comfort and just being absorbed in this world. And this had also had quite a bit of humor in it that I really appreciated and worked well with the story. And yeah, it's just a really, really well told story, and it didn't make it worse that I had a lot of great illustrations to look at. For instance, we have this one, Bilbo and Gollum as they're having their riddle game. I thought it was a pretty good one. And we have one of the dragon Smaug here. I think this is also really, really well done. And all of these illustrations are by Alan Lee, and I definitely enjoyed seeing all of these images as I read it, and it made it for a really fun adventure. And I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. So the last and final thing that I finished over the past week was Zone Autumnal, or The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. This is illustrated by Chris Riddell. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling with an interesting twist for sure, and I definitely enjoyed my time reading this. The twist made it a lot more fun to read it, because it wasn't just the same Sleeping Beauty story that you expected it by now, but takes a bit of a twist on it, and I really appreciated it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And also this has really beautiful illustrations throughout. That's a whole full page of illustrations here, and another one almost completely full. But it also made it easy to read and quick, made it for a quick read. But I very much enjoyed reading this yesterday and highly recommend it if you haven't picked it up yet. Now let's get into the things that I have started and not finished this past week, and what I'm planning on working on over the next week. First up, I started on The Magician by Raymond E. Feist, which is the first book in the Rift War saga. This is actually a companion of the first 2 books of this series, because the first one, at first it was published like Magician Apprentice and Magician something else. I forgot the second one. And then later on it was combined into one whole book, because this is the revised edition that he wanted to publish at the first time. It's quite dense and heavy. I didn't get to my goal, which was here. This was how much I wanted to read, and this is how much I in fact got to. I didn't listen to as much audio at home as I wanted to over the past week, and I don't know if it's because it had a bit of a slow start. It was difficult to get into the magic system or the world, because it's very dense. But I am appreciating it more and more the more that I listen to it. So I definitely think that it's gonna be one I'm going to be enjoying. But I am on page 152 so far, so I have about 529 pages left of this. Also, it's about 15 hours of the audio, so I have quite a while to go. I also managed to read 20 pages of Gamle Troldmand, or The Old Wizard by David Eddings, and I hope that I will be able to finish it over this next week, because it's not very long, and I would really like to just get it out of the way and finished, so I can possibly move on in the series, but also just so I can return this to the library, because I've had it out for a while. So this is on my to-read list for the next week as well. So I have about 129 pages for me to read from this one. I also started on the audio of Sweet Tea and Sympathy by Molly Harbour. I didn't get very far into it. I was only listening to like 20 minutes on my way home on Friday. That's all I read, and that equals to about 40 minutes of the audio in real time. But I am planning on trying to finishing that this week, and I already made a lot of progress on it today. I'm not sure if I'm halfway through or where I am, but this is a book that follows this woman who is who lost her mother, and she has just lost her job. Her mother had full custody of her growing up, so she's never really known her dad. Her dad was a bit of a drunk, an alcoholic, and so when she loses a job, her aunt somehow finds her and says, can you come down here to us and help us out? You can get your life sorted out and maybe move back to New York afterwards when you've gotten your things back together. And she reluctantly says yes, because she doesn't really want to have her father into her life, because he decided not to be part of her life, and he's never really contacted her since. So this is where I am. She's come to Georgia. This is the state that she's moved to, and yeah, she's trying to figure out her new family on her father's side and getting to know her dad. But she also meets a boy, a man who she feel attracted to, and all of that. So that is basically what it's about so far, and I am mostly enjoying it. It's not as fun as her urban fantasy series, that's for sure, but maybe it could change. But I am enjoying it, so that's fine. The last thing that I started on last week was Fruits Basket Volume 8. I didn't finish it yesterday. I only got 61 pages in, but I plan on trying to finish it maybe tonight, because it's not very difficult to read, and I'm sad I didn't finish it, but yesterday I was so tired and was also pretty absorbed in the European elections, so that basically stopped my reading, and I didn't get much reading in yesterday overall. Now let's get into the books that I'm putting onto my TBR for this week, because last week I didn't get to Founderside because I was in Borrowathon, but now I want to get back to it, and I definitely plan on trying to finishing it this week. It has 220 pages left to read, and it was just getting into a really, really interesting phase of the book, and I can't wait to finish this. I have Thursday and Friday off, so I might be able to finish it on one of those days. But first and foremost, I just put this on my list to hopefully finish it over this week. The only book that I'm planning on starting this week is actually Keep Her Safe by Sophie Hannah, which is my mystery genre TBR project thing, and it's the book of the month that I chose for that, and I hope that I will be able to finish it, but since I only have 3 days this week of working, I don't think I'll finish it completely, but I have put all of the pages down for my weekly goal, so we'll see how it ends up going. With all of this said, I have a goal of reading 1,540 pages, which leaves an average of 220 pages per day, which is actually the same amount as last week, my goals for last week. So hopefully I'll be able to meet my own goals, and we'll see how it ends up going by next week. This is all I had for you today. If you definitely let me know in the comments down below if you've been reading anything interesting last week. Have you read any of the books that I've been talking about today, and what were your opinion about them? Also let me know about that, and if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye!